This is Maurice Jones-Drew, and you're listening to the What's Bruin Show.
You're listening to the What's Bruin Show, part of the What's Bruin Show network, with your hosts, Jake Berryfield and Mike Regalado, and occasionally some friends, talking all things UCLA sports. And now, it's time for the What's Bruin Show.
Well, hello and welcome to What's Bruin. I am your host, Jake Marble. I'm joined by my good buddy, one Mike Regalado.
Big applause, Big Mike.
Mikey, you're very excited today. I can tell. You're trying to plug in your microphone or whatever. But no one's more excited than Mikey that the Bruins, the ladies, the women's team, off to their
Go Bruins!
not their first, possible title, women's basketball title, but it's their first Final Four in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
He's super excited.
Hells yeah.
Go Bruins!
It was,
Go Bruins.
God, Monday was just an epic
I'm
day of
happy that
UCLA news.
won.
It was epic.
Good and bad, but...
It was epic. Yeah, epic, not always good.
Yeah,
Epic could be bad.
Exactly.
And in this case,
exactly.
yeah. This is like it was just like the Iliad, right? At one point, Hector's out there chasing the Greeks right back to their ships. He's talking shit and going, what do you want? And doing the fucking Degeneration X thing on him. And the next minute, Achilles is dragging his body around the freaking walls of Troy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind
It's,
of, there was a little bit, but we'll go a little bit more with the victory for us right now. Yeah, as that's going on.
It has been an odyssey.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, we're all involved, especially women's basketball, who are in the Final Four. Outstanding.
Go Bruins!
We'll start over.
Fight!
And while we're on the quick topic of classics, Gilgamesh sucked. Screw that story. Boring ass story.
Agree to disagree. That's okay though.
That's all right.
Certainly not doesn't hold the candle. Doesn't hold the candle to
It was weird.
my OGs.
When I first read in high school, we did the Odyssey, and I was like kind of into it. Then I read the Iliad years later, and it made me appreciate the Odyssey that much more.
And I'm in the minority here, and I like the Iliad better.
Mm.
And
It wasn't
also,
horrible,
The
but yeah,
Gilgamesh
but-
for being thousands of years older,
Yeah.
That's why it has to get some street cred for that.
Yeah.
Beowulf, underrated. After I reread it, new modern translations are helpful.
Yeah.
Anyways, and that's obviously millennia ahead. But you know what I'm reading right now? We're
What?
totally off the rails. The women are in the Final Four, and we're talking about the fucking classics.
Do you know why?
You know what I'm
Because
listening
we
to right
went to
now?
UCLA,
Go
Jake.
Bruins. Go Bruins.
We are smart.
Go
We are
Bruins!
athletic. And gosh darn it, people like us.
That's right. You know what I'm listening to right now that I just absolutely love
What?
is on Audible. I'll have to find the edition, but the Aeneid is outstanding. The narrator he gets so
Really?
into it. It's so badass. I mean, it's wonderful,
Dude.
Uh,
Since
anyways,
you brought up
we're off the rails. Mike.
since you brought up
Bring
the-
it back. Bring it
since
back.
Okay, real quick. Since you brought up The Sun Also Rises, I started listening to that audiobook, and oh
One of
my
my
God.
faves.
I hate Brett already.
Look at like proper.
I love Brett as a character, but I hate her too.
What's the title character of that novel?
Jake, yeah.
That's right. Every time I read that, I'm feeling it. And yeah, I'm right with you. I love and hate Brett all the same. Anywho, that poor Matador.
Yeah.
Anywho,
Yeah.
so it's What's Bruin Show on the What's Bruin Show Network. Sorry about that. The women are in the Final Four. Mike's
Final Four,
excited.
baby.
Go Bruins!
And the men's basketball team got a super awesome guy,
Mm-hmm.
and then lost a guy who may or may not end up being super awesome.
Yeah.
So there's a little give, a little take, whatever. We'll talk about that. But on the email, it's whatsbruinshow@gmail.com, whatsbruin.substack.com, patreon.com/whatsbruinshow, whatsbruinshow.com. Those are all ways you can get us. We have a new subscriber this week. Welcome to KTF. Thank you. I sent you an invite to the Slack channel, which is still, especially when the women are in the Final Four. You guys are talking a lot during those games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm appreciating seeing all those notifications.
Yeah.
And now spring football practice is happening. I'm sure we'll be talking about that once we actually see something of value or something meaningful, I suppose. Talk about the projects and men basketball, all that stuff. That's all on the Slack channel. We appreciate your support. You can also search the show on YouTube. Just search What's Bruin Show in your YouTube search bar and look for the stuff that's UCLA related, not that F Boston related stuff. And also you can call the hotline 805-399-4WBS.
Sucker in intro.
Sucker in Troy. And I haven't checked to see if we have any hotline calls. I'll check later, and if we do, I'll play them. If we don't, I won't. But call the hotline. Tell us what you think about the women winning the national title this week, Mike? If Mike has anything
Let's
to say
do
about
it.
it, they
Let's
sure
do it.
will. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
let's do
they'll get knocked out in this.
I also have things to say about people not getting on the UCLA train.
Oh, I'm sure you do, Mike.
Oh,
If someone's got opinions about UCLA women's basketball, I know their name happens to be probably Mike Regalado.
Mike Regalado.
I am part of the podcast that is more
Iron
punk rock
Mike.
than you. So there's that.
We are more punk rock than you.
Hells yeah.
Where to go? Yeah, and we appreciate your support. The What's Bruin Show
is more punk than you.
Yeah, absolutely. And us still right now in the year 2025, even though it's growing leaps and bounds, us being the UCLA women's basketball podcast of
record
is still very punk rock.
Oh, hells yeah.
Yeah. We're punk rock.
And people
And you're not.
are starting to appreciate that. Yeah.
That's good. It's nice to be
Like a one Mr. Dave Marcus. Again,
that's right.
every time I've
I was
seen
going to ask you if you
him,
want to have him back on.
he said he would love to. When I saw him at the round of 32 game, we're just chatting before the game. There was a little bit of nervousness, so we're just chatting and we were just talking about golf. Yeah, he's a golfer. He golfs out here in West Valley.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, nice, bro. But yeah, so yeah, a lot of things to cover today. More than just one general topic. We actually have a little bit of football, Jake. Now I know this is a love-hate relationship at this point of the year because it is spring football. Can't take a lot from it, but it is football. So I'm very happy about it. So
Yeah, we literally know nothing about nothing when it comes to football.
Especially this year.
Who are these guys?
Exactly.
That's all right. Well, we'll get to that in a very small little package. Probably not a lot of football tonight, but anywho, well, why are we effing bearing the lead here? Let's just start talking with this nonsense.
Women's.
Basketball.
Women's.
Basketball.
Women's.
Basketball.
Women's.
Basketball.
In the Final Four. Let's go.
Hells yeah.
So, Mikey,
What's up?
how do you want to approach this? They played 2 games. They won them both.
Yeah, let's
One, Lauren Betts was like 80 for 80 and, scored like 172 points and, and they kicked the shit out of some Southerners. And in the other one, they had to get picked up a little bit by some of the other folks when Lauren Betts was out.
Mm-hmm.
And then they, still kicked some shit out of some Southerners, victorious over the Southerners.
Yep.
Big weekend over the South this week.
Yep.
It was good. Just number one, I want you just to tell me right now.
Yep.
After watching this team year after year after year, not make it this far, how is one Mike Regalado
Iron Mike
feeling about this team that he's followed very closely the last number of years being in the Final Four?
Obviously, I like to try to be as unbiased as possible, but
What? Let's
but,
start with a lie. Are we going to start with a lie? Oh my God, you're getting the horns for that. Wait, say that sentence again. Say that sentence again.
I try to be Did you notice that I inserted that word? I try to be as unbiased as possible, but
yeah,
I do cover UCLA sports, my alma mater, a place I've loved because of my family since birth. So, and especially covering women's basketball, we are basically the only podcast that has consistently covered this team for the last 13 years. And just tracking what Corey Close has done with this team in her 14 years. It was, I think I used this reference last week, but when, the second Death Star got blown up, Admiral Akbar, he wasn't cheering with everybody else. He sat down and took a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but the job's not done. That was only to get to the Final Four. Now, just before we get into it, after it was done, just because it was such a good game down the stretch. And when it was over, I kind of looked, I kind of paused. I went into the other room because the kids were kind of into it, but they were also like, I have had sick kids. So they're in their bed and blah, blah, blah. So I go in and tell them, so yeah, UCLA won. And they're like, all right, yay. And then I go, woo, just to let one out. Yeah. But then I had to be, on call with the post-game presser and all that stuff. So I still had to work, but just excited and retweeting everything under the sun that was UCLA women's basketball.
That's awesome.
But yeah, before we get into the jubilation, just really quickly, that last, the game before they went up to Spokane, Lauren Betts scored, I think it was 31 points, and she had 10 rebounds.
31 and 15 for 16. And yeah, pretty darn good.
Yeah, and she was 15 for 16 in that. But that was against Richmond in the round of 32. Then she...
no, against Ole Miss.
Oh, okay.
15 for 16, 31 points.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, wait a minute, which one was which? Because in Richmond, my point is she was the first. She's the first player in over 20 years to put up back-to-back 30-10 games.
Yeah,
that's insane.
And you're right, she had 10 rebounds, 2 assists.
In 2 games she
blocks.
had a total of 61 points.
Pretty good.
Freaking hell. But yeah, that game against Ole Miss, it was funny because there were people that before that
baller, man.
hear national pundits saying, oh, I like what UCLA has done, but they're spotty sometimes. They have their weaknesses. I'm like, yeah, well, so does everybody else. The thing that Ole Miss brought was some tough, hard-nosed defense, but it seems like people think UCLA women's basketball is this kind of like dainty flower. This is one hell of an aggressive team. This is one of the best defensive teams in the nation. For people to say, oh, I think Ole Miss is going to pull off the upset. Yeah, that didn't happen because UCLA, it was a close game first half, but as UCLA does, they just pulled away in the second half and got the 76-62 win, as you said, Jake. Excuse me. Lauren Betts, 30 points. 15 of 16 performance. That's
31
insane.
Points.
31 points, sorry. 15 to 16, 10 rebounds. Just fantastic. And that game, it seemed like that was another game where I was like, Kiki Rice and Gabriela Jaquez have to step up a bit. Kiki Rice had 13 points. London Jones, 9 points. Gabriela Jaquez, only 6, but 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Did she have a steal? No steal. So that was kind of I would say not a bad game for Jaquez, but one that screw it. I'm not even going to complain because they got the win. But yeah, everybody seemed to step up.
Quiet game. How about we say quiet?
There you go, quiet game. That's very good actually. So then they meet up with LSU, and then again, people are like, "Oh, LSU, they have their number." Kim Mulkey has been in the Final Four. She's won a championship. There's no way UCLA is going to get past her. Seeing what UCLA, seeing what LSU did against UCLA last year, LSU should win this game. They're going to go on to the Final Four, and it didn't look good because Lauren Betts got 2 fouls in the first quarter, and she did not have a very solid game. And at that point, I was like, really, are we going to have this type of game where you're going to take out the team's best player and the other team is just going to go on a run? And it seemed like that was the plan for Mulkey at that point was just...
Did they go on that run, Mike?
They did not.
Just 13-9 after...
Freaking
first
brilliant
quarter.
Second quarter. Like, Lauren Betts didn't
play...
play...
like that first quarter score, though. Even though it was in reverse. It's signs of,
Yeah, 13-9 to start. And... yeah, UCLA scoring less than 10 points in a game, in a quarter, I'm sorry. That's kind of unheard of. But it was what they did in the second quarter, and it's what a lot of people who haven't followed UCLA basketball, didn't really expect to see from the Bruins. UCLA was trailing 13-9 in the after the first quarter. UCLA outscored LSU 22-12, and yeah, for those of us who have followed UCLA women's basketball, we've known that Lauren Betts has missed significant time. She has not played games, and still the rest of the team seems to rally around that. They beat Michigan State in a gritty game. They won conference games. I think she didn't play against. I don't want to say it was Michigan. Anyway, there were I think I can't remember 1 or 2 games in the middle of conference play where Lauren Betts didn't play, but the team won. Actually, was that against Creighton? I don't know. Either way, the Bruins have shown that they can play without Lauren Betts. They aren't getting they aren't getting
although we
the
don't
stats.
Advise it.
We don't advise it. Yeah, exactly.
Be clear.
It's like if you're going to ride a motorcycle, hey, if you're not going to wear a helmet, cool, but we advise that you do wear a helmet. Anyway, that is your safety check here on the UCLA, the What's Bruin show. But yeah, with those 2 fouls, Lauren Betts sat the entire second quarter, and it seemed like just the way that the game was going, Corey Close was going to have to put her in there at some point. But yeah, UCLA just outmuscled, outshot, and just, I think, perplexed LSU, because it seemed like, and I heard this from a lot of people, it seemed like when Betts was out, Mulkey was like, okay, go at him. You've got this. And they didn't expect UCLA to tighten the screws as they did.
Be able to weather the storm
Yeah,
and actually do better than that.
Yeah, second quarter, UCLA was it 7 for 14? They were just hitting shots that nobody thought that they would make, and it came from everybody. Lauren Betts only had 17 points in that game, which, a 7 to 14, still pretty badass. But Gabriela Jaquez, quiet game in the previous game, she was phenomenal in this game. Tamia Gardner, I think she hit 5 3-pointers in that game, just really absolutely stunned LSU's defense. London Jones hit some key 3-pointers, and yeah, it just all came together. And so when Lauren Betts came back in the second half, again, it just seemed like LSU had no answer. They didn't know how to play a UCLA team without Lauren Betts, without their big center, and it seemed like they still didn't know how to play with her in it, as opposed to the first quarter where they kind of shut her out. Because even in the third quarter, LSU won the scoring battle 16-15, but UCLA just had that lead and they just kept it. And it was going back and forth for a while. UCLA, I think, had like a double-digit lead at one point. And LSU came to within 3 or 4 points. I can't exactly remember, but going down to the wire, Gabriela Jaquez hits a 3-pointer and pretty much nails it. He just puts the nail in the coffin, and that was all she wrote. At that point, it was just LSU trying to foul and trying to get to the foul line and trying to do something to salvage a win. But no, UCLA was just too damn tough for these LSU Tigers. It was awesome.
Yeah, and I think we're all pretty excited about it. And now they're in the Final Four for the first time. It's not the first time
as an NCAA participant.
Yeah, exactly. It was a different tournament back then.
AIAW, right? Yeah.
In 1978, and what was the tournament field back then in 1978, Mike? When they won
was
that?
it 32?
16. This is according to Godfather Jim Bendat.
Okay, it was.
And the men had 32 that year in 1978, and then according to the Godfather, it went up to 40th. This is the women's bracket. Then 48, then 52. And then 64 by 1985. So we're talking about the NCAA tournament, and that's why everybody's like, oh, the first time in the Final Four, first time in the Final Four. It's not like women's basketball hasn't had any success, but still we're talking about, in over 40 years.
Yeah.
This is the first time they've gotten this far. So regardless, it's still kind of a novel thing for, most of us that are following the sport. And it's really pretty awesome. So, Mike, before we actually talk about their prospects in the Final Four, how, being someone who's covered this team all the way through, what was your, what do you think about the response by the team, and how are they feeling about this accomplishment and getting there? And, you talk about a sigh of relief from you personally, but what about the, Corey Close's and the players, just, reaction to making it this far?
Just absolute exuberance and class. And, God, who was it? This was some class by the UCLA fans. I think was it Flau'jae Johnson that fouled out late in the game? And instead of, you know how at UCLA games, if someone fouls out, you get the left, right, left. When she was walking off court, she got a standing ovation from everybody. You saw blue sweaters, purple sweaters, orange sweaters. They were all just like, hey, hell of a run, hell of a game. And that's just what it is. That's the kind of program that Corey Close has developed. And it has spread to the fans, understanding that she is appreciative of every moment she gets to coach this team. Again, she not only thanked the media for telling their stories, but once again, her famous quote from this year, or a quote that has been made famous from this year is, our talent is the floor, our character is the ceiling. And you can see that. She runs a very supportive program. Like her squad, they all love each other and they love their coach. And it's just good to see that she's not trying to, and every coach does this. I'm not saying she's the only one that does this, but you can see the leaps and bounds that certain players have made, not only on the court but as people, for who they've become under Corey Close and what they've been able to do. And they were just excited. They didn't trash talk anybody. One thing we've seen is that this, I don't, maybe a couple times a player will scream or kind of in the direction of but nothing callous, nothing like Johnny Manziel dollar signs or just being an absolute jerk to the opposition.
Caleb Williams fingernails.
Exactly. Fuck Utah. Yeah, classy. You don't see any of that from this team, and that's just it just shows what kind of program Corey Close wants to put together, and that's just gonna help her create a juggernaut. Because this is only we get to see this again next year, and they will probably be even better, which is insane. But yeah, just wrapping this up in a quick little bow, just the fact that they were just so appreciative of fans going out there to support them, people supporting them all season long. Just really classy from the UCLA women's basketball team after their advancement into the Final Four for this season.
Very cool, man. I'm glad you're along for the ride. It's a shame you can't actually go cover the game at the game.
Yeah.
But, maybe someday. Hopefully this is the start of a nice long run of going to the Final Fours.
I foresee it.
Meanwhile, a team that didn't make it to the Final Four
Mm-hmm.
is USC. They get beat by UCLA's next opponent,
Yeah.
UConn,
Mhm.
the old Huskies. And number one, did you watch any of that game at all?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
what number one, obviously if Juju Watkins hadn't been hurt, that game may have been a different story.
definitely.
UConn certainly taken on a team, an SC team that got kind of kneecapped late.
Yeah.
But with that being said, what are your first impressions of UConn? And you said UCLA is going to be even better next year, possibly. Maybe a year and a half from now, you could say the same thing about USC. It's like the gravity of women's basketball, at least collegiately, is kind of shifted towards the Southwest. It seems like.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sorry, I'm asking.
Westernly?
I'm making too many statements right now. But let's just get back to what do you think of UConn when they played SC? Before we start talking about what you think of UConn as they're about to play the Bruins.
First off, USC, even without Juju Watkins, was pretty impressive in the 3 games.
Straight baller.
Almost 3 games they had to play without her. Was it 4 games? No, 3 games. They were in it in the first quarter, but you could just see that UConn just had too many weapons. And even though that this is a good USC team just by itself, they are a great team with Juju Watkins, and that is the key factor for UCLA losing to UConn because they were playing. USC was playing good defensively, but offensively they just could not hit the shots that were needed down the stretch, and UConn just knew how to play a nice paced game. They had Paige Beckers and Sarah Strong. Azifa, they are just all fantastic basketball players. It's going to be interesting to see how they match up. I don't think that they have faced a team like UCLA with just with good defenders that can play without Lauren Betts, but then you have Lauren Betts, just a phenomenal post presence. I think a lot of people are overlooking UCLA. Even though they have the overall number 1 ranking, even though they've only lost 2 games, even though they were even though they
only lost to 1 team this year.
Yeah, they've only lost to 1 team this year. And even though that team lost to UConn, that was not the same team that UCLA lost to. So I think UConn is very good. Like UCLA really has a fight up against them. But as I said, I did a quick post game talk on Sunday, and one thing I said is that this team is very good, not just because of their talent or their character, but the coaching staff knows exactly what to do at halftime. They know how to make their in-game adjustments. And since UCLA lost in their regular season finale, that's all we've been seeing. UCLA has a good first quarter, second quarter lull, then they just come back in the third quarter, fourth quarter, and just punch the other team in the mouth and just keep them at bay. They did that a little bit against LSU. They definitely kept them at arm's length and didn't let them get back in the game, but and that was because they knew exactly what to do. They knew how to operate, they knew how to execute, and they came through with flying colors. So again, even if UCLA goes a little bit down against UConn, they're going to figure out how do they do that, how do we counter that, and they're going to come back and play a really solid second half against UConn, and then whoever they're going to play in the championship game. Oh, I said it. I said it. So,
Mike, with all that being said, why are the Bruins almost a 10-point dog to UConn?
Yeah, that was the thing. So the odds came out, and I don't remember the numbers offhand, but
it started like 8.5. I want to say.
Yeah. But
I know, 7.5. Now it's 8.5.
Well, UConn has the best odds to win it. Then it's South Carolina, then Texas, then UCLA. And the only thing that I can think of is because UCLA hasn't been there before in the modern era. UConn,
and the other part of it is UCLA is playing UConn. UCLA is playing the team with the best odds, so their odds are going to be lower than the other side.
Mm-hmm.
But I bet you if UCLA was not playing UConn, if they were playing with those other two teams, UCLA would probably have the second best odds. I'm just pretty sure that's how it would work out.
Yeah,
I think that's how everybody's kind of well, number one, let me take it like this: do you think that the winner of the UConn UCLA game is going to be a prohibitive favorite going into the next game?
I think South Carolina is going to beat Texas. It depends on how South Carolina beats Texas. If it's a close game, yes, I think UCLA will be the favorite going into the national championship game.
Or UConn. I know we don't want to, say that.
Fine, if I have to. But no, even if UConn wins, if UConn wins, I think no matter what, they're still going to be the favorite to win in the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
If UCLA wins, people are going to be like, "Oh, damn!" Because seriously, 8.5 points. That's a little bit of an insult because UCLA.
I think it is.
Their 2 losses to USC, I think they were both by double digits. But everything else, UCLA has one of the highest, if not the highest. I should look this up. The highest scoring margin. They've beat most of the top, what do they have? Like an 8-2 record against the top 25, and most of those wins were in double digits. Yeah, sure. This is a neutral court on Eastern time, where Connecticut is, but they're also playing at 9 p.m. Eastern time, where it's 6 p.m. for UCLA. That's a bit of an advantage, but at the same time, I really don't think that a lot of these people that are making these bets and predictions have seen a lot of UCLA.
I don't expect you to know the answer to this, but in case you do, when has UCLA been an 8.5 point dog in any game this season?
Not at all.
Have they been a dog at all this season?
I think they were at USC.
I think there's been a couple games where they were. I think they were. Yeah, I think they were.
And I think against South Carolina,
SC, and then they weren't. Okay.
Yeah,
I think that makes sense to me. So it's like we're in the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
This team was number 1 for the majority of the year. This team only lost to one other team this year, and so this is kind of uncharted territory. Look, there's a reason why Vegas and the odds makers are picking UConn, and it probably has to do with
Gino Auriemma.
Yeah,
being there many times. I mean, he's the all-time. No, not anymore. Oh, is he? Him and the former Stanford coach, they were kind of like going back and forth. But even still, Gino Auriemma has multiple national championships. He has the longest streak of wins for college basketball. He's been to several Final Fours, and yeah, Corey Close and her squad hasn't. But I think at some point, yes, experience and the environment is going to affect you. But once you're out on the court, it's just you're just playing basketball.
Well, it has something to do with these players too, though, right? Paige Beckers has like a list of accomplishments that are, like you have to scroll down on a freaking webpage for it. And then they also have the Azzy Fudd and Sarah Strong. These are all guards, guards forwards, but they're all like 6'5", 5'11", 6 foot, 6'2", and they're putting up a lot of points and stuff. And people are calling Paige, the best player left in the tournament, or maybe best player in the country at this point. Now that Juju's gone,
Let's
for sure.
relax on that, people.
I'm just saying. And I remember a game when UCLA went in playing against someone with that kind of tagline, and it became their show, not the Lauren Betts show.
Yeah. No, truly, yeah.
And so I mean,
there's a reason.
But in the last 3 games, Lauren Betts dropped 60 and then missed a lot of the game and still managed to put up 17.
Yeah.
So it's like this is a different phase of where this team is.
Mm-hmm.
But some people are saying that, it's weird that UCLA has gotten this far in the way that they did, and they're coming into a game as underdogs. And I, for one, am fascinated by how they respond to that. Will that be something in and of itself?
Yeah.
Which gets them to that galvanizes them and allows them to play well, or to have a prototypical game that they've had like this season, Mike, that you described it, where they come out and they kind of test the waters, and then they have this dominant stretch at some point.
Yeah, then they see what Connecticut does, and they just go for the kill. Like, I could see Gabriela Jaquez, hypothetically shanking someone with her, defense, and then just stealing a ball and then hitting a 3 on the other end, stuff like that. Janiyah Barker, who hasn't really had a great tournament, but she's still playing her role. She's still doing what she needs to do when she's on the court. But yeah, if she steps up, that'll be huge. Helping to protect the paint and scoring as well.
And something that we need to point out here too is between Betts, Dugalich, and Barker, Betts is 6'7", Dugalich, Barker 6'4", both of them. The tallest person on the UConn roster is an Egyptian lady, Jana El Alfi. I apologize if I'm pronouncing her name wrong. She's 6'5". She's a freshman from Cairo. And then beyond that, the tallest players they have are, Sarah Strong at 6'2". They have somebody 6'3". I don't know how much she plays. I do love her name, Ice Brady. Doesn't play too much.
Right.
3 rebounds, 3 points, 1.8 assists. 15 or so minutes a game. But the Bruins definitely have a size advantage here, but will they be able to deal with all these very dynamic, smaller players running around, shooting the shots, and arguably, this is the 2 best players left in the tournament battling, but they're not going head to head because they're different positions.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of eyeballing this. I'm a little worried that what's going to happen to them, what happened to them against SC, where they're subject to some sort of dominant performance by one of these little stupid little players that gets them. I don't want to see that.
Well, here's the thing. UCLA's defense is pretty freaking sound. Their guards, London Jones, for being 5'4", was a defensive nightmare against LSU. I forget who she was guarding, but she was just in her face. And Gabriela Jaquez can face up her opponents. And Kiki Rice, to a lesser extent, we want her to be the floor general, but she plays some really good defense too. She's been able to just help out and just be a disruptive force for UCLA's opponents. So I think I feel that the UCLA staff will game plan
I know what you think, Mike.
properly for this.
So I think it's whatever offense manages to score more points.
I mean, it works.
Yeah,
it works sometimes. So
Sorry to interrupt you.
But no, that's the thing. I would rely more on UCLA's defense than I would offense. The offense can sometimes go away. Even Lauren Betts sometimes, has, if she's double and triple teamed, and when she kicks out and they're not hitting the 3s or even long 2s, mid ranges, that gets UCLA in a bit of trouble. But their defense, they held LSU scoreless. They were in a few different droughts in that game, and that seemed very uncharacteristic.
Well,
and
13 points in the first quarter and 11 points in the second quarter is pretty darn good defense.
Yeah, exactly. And even Kim Mulkey was like, we are getting our shots, we're just not making them. And I'm like, well, that's the disruption that UCLA does.
Yeah.
So I fully
believe that UCLA is going to do the same thing to UConn. UConn's not going to know what hit them and how to have to go around them, and they're going to have to make adjustments. Blah blah blah. So it's going to be an interesting chess match to see what the old guard of Gino Auriemma can do with the new studs in town, UCLA. So I think UCLA can get this win, even if it is, maybe wire to wire or as close as it was against LSU. Maybe not as it was against Richmond or the games prior, but I think UCLA will be able to match their vibe and go above and beyond.
All right. Well, this UConn team has one thing in common with UCLA. They both lost to SC in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
And then they both beat them in postseason.
Mm-hmm.
So they got that.
Although asterisk for the second one, but
they still beat them.
Yeah, they did.
I agree.
When it mattered, yeah.
I agree, but they still beat them. And they're in the
did.
Final
They
Four
did.
because
Yeah.
they beat SC.
Yeah.
Right. UCLA's.
How crazy is that? If USC would have won, I was looking to see the stat, but when was the last time all number ones from the men's and women's tournament all made the Final Four? I know for the men it was.
It's rare.
Been like 12, 17 years.
I would
somewhere in
imagine
that range.
since we're only talking about I'll bet you it.
That would have been crazy, but that was very close. But yeah, UConn showed.
I reckon it probably has never happened because that's quite a bit of coincidence. But who knows? I don't know. Mikey,
mm-hmm.
Do you have anything else to say about this matchup?
Go Bruins.
Go Bruins indeed. And it's going to be
Bruins.
6:00 on Friday night. Yes?
6:00 Friday night. And I believe the national championship game, hopefully the Bruins are in it. I believe it is at, I don't even have it in front of me. Maybe noon.
All right, well,
we'll tweet that out. We'll tweet that information later.
I'm sure everyone's going to pay attention to that. All right, good.
UC
Go Bruins.
LA. UCLA. Fight, fight, fight.
That's right. Record scratch, Mike. Guess what? The Bruins got a big signing.
Hells yeah.
Commitment. What's his name?
Donovan Dent. He was the Mountain West Player of the Year this last year. He was recruited by UCLA, but at the time, from what I can recall, there a few other Bruins committed, so there really wasn't room. So he went to the Mountain West. And just tore it up with New Mexico, and actually was a big part of New Mexico beating UCLA early in the season. But UCLA busted out the wallet. Cronin busted out the black Amex card and was like, "Boom,
Go Bruins.
let's bring you on." And that was huge because in that week too, we heard that Trent Perry was returning, Eric Daly. Tyler Bilodeau and Sky Clark.
Uh-huh.
We have not heard officially if Brandon Williams is returning, but he hasn't put his name in the transfer portal, so technically he's still here, as well as Dominic Harris, which is weird because he's a redshirt senior, but he didn't play much this season, so his status is yet unknown. A lot of people are saying like, oh, well, why hasn't he hit the transfer portal? Meaning that I guess he still has eligibility. But as of now, if that's the case, if all of those guys return, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players out of 15. 7 out of 15. And what's up with
Mike?
What's up with the rest of them? Little bit.
Kind of a similar record scratch, only opposite direction.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like Mara's not coming back.
Yeah.
Total bummer.
I was going to get to that, but really quickly, 2 guys that are gone for sure because they've exhausted eligibility, Kobe Johnson and Lazar Stefanovic. We will miss you both.
Yes.
But yeah, it was also announced last week that
Mike, nobody gives a flying crap what happened this week other than Dent coming and Mara going.
Well,
except for those guys that committed, and then they're like, "Oh yeah."
I just wanted to ask.
I appreciate
your opinion really quickly
it.
about the guys that have entered the transfer portal, namely Dylan Andrews and Sebastian Mack. Then you also have Devin Williams and William Kyle. William Kyle, I thought could have been a key component, but I guess not all parties
he ended
saw
up
it
at
the same
Syracuse,
way.
or is that
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah. But yeah, the first, before we get into the big one, Dylan Andrews and Sebastian Mack. What are your thoughts on them entering the transfer portal?
With Mac, I kind of feel like. Do you feel like it was related to the Dent signing, Mike? In that,
No, because he's not a point guard.
is he still a guy that's going to have the ball at the end of the game, kind of doing stuff?
Now I don't think so, but I thought that he would have been if Cronin could have figured out, because he was he was a little erratic, but he was a good offensive player when, especially when UCLA couldn't generate any offense. All of a sudden, Sebastian Mack was like, you know what, just give me the ball, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that seemed like the mentality he had sometimes, where it's like, y'all aren't scoring. Screw it, I'll do it. I'm coming off the bench. Yeah, I forgot what game it was, but where off the bench, both Mara and Mac had huge games. Both scored in double digits. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was definitely a Big Ten game, but I thought Mac could be a serviceable guy, a role player. If not, Cronin can mold him into, a really good starter. But that's not happening. So I was a little disappointed at that. I was disappointed about Dylan Andrews, but I understand that too. Especially when you bring in Dent and then you have Trent Perry and Sky Clark, you essentially have 3 point guards. So you got to kind of cut the fat, the one that just did not make it. And unfortunately, that was Dylan Andrews. But he did give some respect and say that he was very grateful for his time at UCLA, and that's a champion mentality right there. Even if he hasn't won a championship, but that's a guy that's classy. That's classy of him.
I hope Andrews goes on and has a good finish to his collegiate career somewhere.
Same with Mac and all the guys that.
But it's crazy how he fell off. It is. It's pretty nuts. So to answer your question,
disappointed, but
with Andrews, I just feel like it was time for him to go. Maybe a change of scenery will do good for him. With Mac, I just kind of feel like, they brought in this big gun, and at the time we thought that, you talked about the other guards they still had, plus they were going to have, Mara, and plus they're going to have the other guys that were returning.
Yeah.
And it was kind of felt to me like maybe it wasn't a 1-for-1 swap out, that Mac was kind of like, well, they got that guy coming in and they already got those other guys. And, maybe I'm not going to get the opportunities that I have already gotten at UCLA, and it's time to kind of find greener pastures as well. That's kind of how I read it. I might be completely off on that, but, doesn't matter. Now he's gone.
Yeah.
So there you go.
But then it came down to Monday night where, people were wondering all week, because the transfer portal opened. It's Tuesday right now. The transfer portal opened 8 days ago. So a week and a day has passed. In that time, the word on the street was Mara said that he was all the terms for returning were there. He was going to come back to UCLA. Went to Spain for a week to be with his family. And then he comes back and puts out some demands that he requested for the upcoming season. And yeah, for whom the bell tolled, it tolled for, him, because he didn't get what he wanted. But it's very weird. So long story short, there's something happened, definitely. And Tracy Pearson was on top of this. He's been on top of this whole time.
Mike Regalado.
No, Tracy Pearson. Talking about how things looked fine. He was going to come back and say, "Oh, I'm returning to UCLA," but something happened in that week. One of the things being thrown around was that there was potential tampering from another program.
Time.
There's also
Sounds rumpy pumpy.
the potential option of Mara playing in Europe professionally.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know if NBA scouts look at him and go, "Hey, we can work on him." Maybe someone was like, "Hey, why don't you enter the draft?" And it's actually not all that crazy to assume that, considering how well he played while he was on the court. I mean, look at Peyton Watson. He didn't play that many minutes, and after he came off the bench and he was like, "You know what? I'm gonna go to the draft." And look, he got drafted. He went to the Denver Nuggets, and he's having a nice career. So it's not known exactly what has happened, but apparently what has come out is that little things like Mara wanted to, now some of this, it seems fine. He wanted to be in Spain for the summer. I mean, guys traveling halfway across the world to play basketball for UCLA. you got to come, you got to help him out with something. But then there were demands about he wants his own practice schedule. He wanted to get permission to, or he wanted to go to Spain whenever he wanted. I don't know if that was in season, which that's a bit crazy. He also wanted to say when he wanted to play and when he wanted to come out of games. I don't think any coach would respect those demands, which is weird because if those are demands he's going to be putting on another school, that would be weird for that school to sign him and go, okay, do whatever you want. But
I agree.
The demands seem so ridiculous that it seems like maybe, and this is just me, Mike Regalado, opinion here on the What's Bruin show. If there was tampering, someone said, hey, do this. And if you put out just ridiculous demands to where UCLA says, yeah, we're not doing that.
Sounds rumpy
That's
pumpy.
what I said. They said, sounds right, pump.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, we're not doing that. So that gives Mara goes, oh, you're not going to do that? Well, then I guess I'm going to leave UCLA and go somewhere else. So it's yet to see exactly what is happening, but per Bruin Report, Adai Mara is not coming back. And I'm very upset about this.
Yeah, and we had somebody else. Mike, what's the hotline number?
805-399-4WBS. Sucker in a try.
Sucker in a try. And Carrie called in.
Hi, What's Bruin Show? It's Carrie. Just want to say hi. Love
Carrie.
your podcast.
We love you too.
Looking forward to the next. Very excited about UCLA women's basketball, about Donovan Dent. I am very confused about Adai Mara, but I wish him the best. Sounds like he just wants to spend more time at home. And I don't blame either party for separating, for going separate ways. And hopefully we will find an excellent center to replace him. And gosh, I think that's it. Oh my God.
So I don't know what that was about, huh? She's going to call back and she's going to tell us what happened, I think.
Okay.
But it's like, that's the best sign off of any.
Like, wait, what happened?
Like, I'm clipping that. We're going to use that from now on. Every time we're surprised, we say, oh my God.
That's a great cliffhanger.
I love that. So what do you think happened to Carrie?
Scorpion emerged from a sandal.
I'm looking at the voice to text and she leaves a 10-second message and doesn't tell us, I don't think.
Damn it.
So Carrie, you got to call back and tell me what the hell caused that little bit of sound, which is now some of my favorite sound ever. Let's see if I can get back up again. Let's see. Here it is again before we get to her response.
Oh my God.
I love it so much. We hear your issues. What?
Hey, it's Carrie again. Sorry about that interruption. Anyways, that's all I got. I hope you guys are doing great and go Bruins.
What was the oh my God about, Carrie? Please tell us.
Okay, no scorpion coming out of the shoe. Although Jamaal has seen some stuff. Isn't that weird that you have to do stuff like that?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Check your shoes. Anyway, what's up?
Oh my God.
It's amazing. All right, anyways. So, yeah, Carrie, call back. I need to know by next week what happened to you. And I'm glad you're all right. Number one. So, Number one, I'm glad you're all right. Number two, what the hell was that?
Yeah. 3, no scorpion in the shoe.
No scorpion in the shoe.
Hopefully.
And then number 4.
Oh my God.
I love
Priceless.
it.
All right. Anywho. Yeah. So, Mikey, that's basketball.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on. I think.
Quick segment.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is going to be really quick.
Football.
All right. So, Mike, spring practice started today. Before we get to spring practice, we're going to do a, just an impromptu, kind of janky, symposium. What's Bruin Symposium? Thank you for joining the show. Because,
do you think we
men need to drink?
Much? No, we don't drink too much. Men face reality. Women don't. That's why men need to drink.
I hate it when podcasters talk about what they're drinking.
What else am I gonna drink, Bob? A fucking Fresca?
No Fresca tonight because I got my Whiskey Club subscription bottle this week, and they ended up giving me a can of beer, which was a stout that I saved from Mike, and I tweeted it out by Paperback Writer, right? Paperback Brewing Company.
Yes.
And what kind of stout is this, Mike?
This is called French Toast for Dinner. And yeah, it is an imperial stout, which if, if you know the beers, that's one of the thicker. Think Guinness. That's about the only stout I know. You know, Bass to an extent. Bass is a little lighter. I don't think that's a stout, but you know, they're just thick beers. And you have to have an acquired taste for it. But the reason I'm into like IPAs is because they have a flavor. All these different breweries do this or that or this. This stout is very tasty. It is very delicious. And yeah, it does have like this kind of like sweetened, that kind of sweet on savory French toast kind of feel. I am impressed with this. I will be purchasing this again, Jake. Thank you very much for that.
And actually, for first time in a long time, I actually had a little bit too because it was right there.
Yeah, I was like, dude, you gotta try this.
And number one, I haven't had beer in a long time.
Oh.
I don't really like beer, but I actually kind of like this. Number one, it did taste like French toast.
Not bad.
Number two, it was like drinking gravy, but like a good French toasty gravy.
Right.
So, I mean, that's what I can say in its defense. And I'm drinking like I think it's Natural Brewing Company or something. Another bottle I got from this club a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like 187 proof or whatever. It's good. It's very smooth and nice. It's actually more like 117. But thank you for joining us on the What's Brewing Symposium and having a drink with us. And, it's conversation over drinks. That's what the symposium is.
Yep.
And you can further that conversation by subscribing on the What's Bruin Show network, patreon.com/Bruin Show or what'sbruinshow.com or the Substack, what'sbruin.substack.com. All those places. And, just how much, Mike?
$2.
Just $2 a month.
Yeah.
And you send the What's Bruin Show into the future and join people like our new subscriber, KTF.
Thanks, KTF.
Or Nancy or Carrie, all these other folks.
The KTF. Ooh,
we love
like
you all.
So.
But that's it for the symposium. Now we can get back to your normally scheduled program of talking football, which I already did the introduction.
Yes,
and
bringing this up, Jake, I have a coworker that wants to go to a jazz club. Do you have any off-air recommend? I know there's that one at the top of Mulholland. Got to talk about it.
I think let's go there.
Let's do it.
I'm ready to go.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, more football talk. Here we come. Let's might as well do the intro again.
Do it.
Such a good one, Mike.
Blue 32, California, hood, hey! Football.
I am very impressed with that drop. That is one of my favorite drops. Just like when you hike the ball and the quarterback explodes.
Mike, you're on a roll. Sometime we just need to go through and just spend a show. Maybe when we get through basketball is done, we'll just go through all the nice stuff you've produced for the show. Because I'm looking at like seven buttons right here.
And I haven't done it in a while, which I'm very
Mike ain't done
upset
shit
about.
in a long time, Mike.
You're calling me out. You're accurately calling me out. So.
That's all right. No, Mike.
I'm getting
Mike,
the music, itch
we're
again.
both
So
doing
maybe
we're both doing it. I've been playing guitar like crazy.
Right?
It's gonna be a.
Dude, I'm gonna put on a
duet
dark wave
pretty
album.
soon.
I'm probably gonna like open for the Cure like in 2027.
We've wasted a lot of time this show, Mike.
We have.
And that's okay. We started out by talking classics, whatever. Now we're here with football, and you know why we're stalling? Because there ain't shit to say. Well, how am I going to say anything about spring football practice when it starts?
But you
Number
love
one, they lock your ass out.
football.
Yes, of course I do. It's the only reason I do the What's Bruin Show. You think I'd do it for freaking basketball? Because we all know where my stance on that is.
I would like to avoid the basketball shows for as long
No
as
comment.
possible.
This is a football show, in my humble opinion. God damn it! And we're stuck here in goddamn April. We're very excited about the
This
Final
isn't
Four.
Rain of Troy. We're not a one-trick pony. I'm
You're
just
right.
kidding. You guys aren't either. But I would
You
love
are
for
not.
you guys to talk more basketball.
You are
I'm
not.
just saying.
And we are not. But I certainly am.
We're punk rock, Jake.
I certainly am. We are more punk rock than you, too. Get to that one.
The What's Bruin Show is more punk than you.
But my point being is
Uh-huh.
that I'm excited about football.
Yeah, you're right. We're locked out.
But there's nothing to learn. Number one, you can't even go to goddamn practice. Run 15 minutes or whatever. And number two, even if we wildly speculate about the people that are at this practice, we don't know nothing about them because they're all new.
Yeah.
Let's go down the list of these guys. I'm going to go down this is according to Bruin Report Online, your outlet, Mike.
Hi, bro.
The projected, depth chart, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to hit the whole depth chart. I'm just going to go highlights on these. The number ones in all these positions. You tell me what we know about these guys, okay? Where's my goddamn cricket button? Because there's going to be a lot of crickets. Back to it.
Are we going to do the entire roster?
Well, there's 22 positions, Mike, that I'm concerned about. I don't really care about the kickers.
Yeah, but
I don't care about the punters.
3 to
I don't care
5
about the
deep.
backups. No, I said just the starters. Cortland Ford, Mike. We know a lot about that guy.
All right.
No. Eugene Brooks.
I know Eugene
What
Levy.
position does he play? Sam Yoon, I've heard that name before.
Center.
Started a whole bunch? Not really. Julian Armella? You're starting to get my drift here,
Transfer.
Mike. The entire offensive line, with the exception of Garrett DeGiorgio,
Sam Yoon,
is a complete unknown. Sam Yoon's not a complete unknown, but he's pretty unknown.
Ruben Unije, who's still trying to get
Mike,
another.
that's not a starter. He's projected by Bruin Report Online. I'm not going to talk about Ruben Unije. And by the way, he's attempting to get another year of eligibility. We don't even know. Okay, you know another guy who don't know shit about except for what the Godfather's friend from back east told me.
What's that?
That Joey Aguilar is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I got nothing to say about him. I haven't seen him play.
Yep.
Luke Duncan's really tall.
Luke Duncan, Nick Billups.
We're not going that far. No, don't you dare go to number 3.
You're right.
Don't you dare. You don't know shit about it.
I went 3 deep, and
we don't know.
They're shutting me down.
You know?
Uh-huh.
Jalen Berger.
We know he's a tasty burger.
He's a tasty burger.
This is a tasty burger.
Hey! Rich Kirshner here, walking in the studio while we're on the air.
Surprise.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Leo Kemp. What do we know about Leo Kemp? He's a walk-on.
Yeah.
We know shit about Leo Kemp. Carter Shaw. Sounds like a cowboy.
He looked like a stud before he got hurt.
Yeah. No, he did. Actually, he did. The wide receivers, you know a little bit about some of these guys.
Yeah.
Rico Flores got hurt. Maybe he'll be back better than ever. Titus.
I am gonna go too deep because Quasi Gilmer. Yes, you got to give me that.
This is the only one where we're like, yeah, okay, these receivers, we got something to work with. Okay, but we literally went through. You know, I said Jalen Berger. He's a tasty burger, but I mean, beyond that,
Hudson Habermill. He's working on another year. He wrecked his knee last spring.
Jack
Peterson was serviceable.
Yeah, he was also Cameron's father in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. When that. Peterson, the last name? I think so.
Sloan Peterson. Sloan Peterson.
Oh, Peterson. Oh no,
yeah,
Sloan's. That's right.
Wow, pulled that out of the air.
Good job, Mike. I'm proud of you. On the defense.
Oh God, this gets even worse.
Okay, Kendall Williams, I love.
Yeah,
but is he going to be able to play?
We'll see.
We don't know.
No.
You know, Gary Smith, I love.
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to be able to play?
We'll see.
I think he's going to play. You know, those are your defensive tackles. On the edges, Jacob Busick and Devin Appieu.
Busick showed some talent. Appieu has been there a while. He knows the defense.
There's actually some guys here that we've heard of on the defensive line, but we lost a lot. Is Jay Toye coming back?
No.
Okay, that's a big deal. Big deal there. And then we get back to the linebackers, and once again back to the Crickets. Isaiah Chisholm, Ben Perry. We don't know nothing about these guys.
We know nothing.
We're not going to know until we actually see him. John Vaughns.
Well, I mean,
we know he plays baseball.
We know about them. We just don't know how they will do. We don't know about them in a Bruin uniform.
How are they all? Yeah. How are they all going to merge together?
Exactly.
And then, God, don't get me started on these defensive backs.
Yeah, that is
Cole
just like
Martin, Byron Threats, Croy Stewart.
Croy's been all right.
Andre Jordan, Kanye Clark.
Clark's been all right.
They might be. They might be great. They might be spectacular. They might be All-Americans for all I know. But you know what I know about them right now?
Whole lot of nada?
Whole lot of nada. And that's my point. So, look, nobody wants the football back more than this guy. But I'm not going to sit here and just say names and go, oh, yeah, he showed a lot, blah, 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 because you don't know. You know? I had to, we just don't know yet. So, let's put a pin in it. Let's enjoy the women playing Final Four basketball. Let's hope that UCLA finds some way to replace the loss of Adem Mara, and let's get excited about the guy named Dent.
Adem Mara? Damn, you forgot about him already.
What's his name?
Well, there's Adem Bona. And Adem
God,
Mara.
look at me. Yeah, whatever. Mara.
You cross-pollinated, Jake.
Hey, you know what, Mike?
I would like to avoid the basketball shows.
You're right, though, Mike. You called me out, and I'm a fraud in that regard. That's okay.
It's
what I'm saying is,
Bono's apparently doing well with the Sixers, so you know.
Damn right he is. So what I'm saying is, we know a whole hell of a lot more about the women's in the Final Four.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
The men's transfer portal, all that stuff than we know anything about what UCLA football is going to look like. And maybe after you guys get in for a couple practices and actually get to see some guys running around.
Which Saturday,
you can compare that knowledge to the knowledge of years past.
Yeah.
And we can actually draw some conclusions. But as of right freaking now, what do we actually know? Not a goddamn thing.
Not a whole lot of. Yeah,
we're not going to spend any more time.
It's an open practice on Saturday. I will be there. It'll be about a 2-hour session, so we'll be able to see at length what this UCLA team can do with its components that has been put together, kind of like a late stage Jenga puzzle. So
very good. All right, well, we're done. We're done with this. So let's get on with it. Okay? Yeah, absolutely. Please.
Let's get out of
here. Where's my button? All I'm looking for is the button. No, not that one. This one.
What's brewing with you? You ask me. What's brewing with me? Yeah. What's brewing with you? What's brewing with me? What's brewing with you?
Mikey, what happens to be brewing with you?
Well, I mean, it was a rough weekend. Sans sports. My son got sick, so it was I had a whole weekend planned. We were going to do all this stuff, and poor Hugo, he got sick, and
This is as bad as it gets, though, right? It's just we're sad that your family got sick, but nothing.
No, nothing horrible.
Good.
Nothing horrible.
Good.
Nothing emergency or extreme. It's and what that happened on Saturday morning. It's Tuesday, and at this point now, all 3 of my kids have gotten sick. But it was a slow progress. But one thing that we did get to do was that back in December when Wicked came out, my oldest daughter, whose birthday came out around that time, she wanted to see the movie. It was she wanted to see like a late show too, so we started it at like 9:30. It didn't get out until like 1. It's a 3-hour movie, 2.5, something like that. I don't know if you've seen it. I know you do like the musicals. I don't know what you think of this, but I liked it when I saw it. But I do remember that because it was late, I was fading in and out.
One of my daughters saw it like 8 times already. So
damn nice. But it's out on Peacock right now. So Friday night we're all like, hey, let's watch it again. Yeah, we got some snacks. Everybody got their blankets, cuddled on the couches, got their spots, laid out, whatever. Holy crap, dude. Just to actually invest some time in this, just great freaking acting by everyone around. I actually liked it even more than I did when I first saw it. And I am definitely on, me, I'm not a pop music guy at all. And unfortunately, since my oldest daughter has gotten in 8th grade and freshman, a freshman in high school, her musical tastes have changed. And I did the stupid thing. I don't know if I said this before, but I did the stupid thing of introducing her to Kiss FM and 104.3 My FM, which is more pop music. So now she knows to put the radio on in the car. Or get the USB plug and put in her playlist, which, I don't mind. I do like the fact that she's growing into what she likes. That's what I want. That's what I want. But
we have to alternate when we're on a road trip. We have to alternate who gets to.
Oh, totally. I'm like, you know what? No, I can't do all this. I need some dark wave. But after we finished the movie, Poppy and Hugo were falling asleep. And Violet was still up. She was like kind of fading. It's a weekend. I let the kids stay up a little bit later. So after the movie was over, I was just going on about how that final scene is just freaking phenomenal. And just the musical chops, the singing of this. And so after we were done, I was telling my daughter, I was like, wow, I actually really appreciate Ariana Grande. I've heard about her, but just never really interested because I'm not a pop music guy. Yeah. She took me on this rabbit hole of I did not know Ariana Grande does all these like impressions and is just a generally funny person in general.
Very talented. She was on she's one of those funny Nickelodeon shows. It was actually pretty
I didn't even know that she's been like famous since then. And yeah, my daughter absolutely loves her and is just I have a bigger appreciation for all of the singers. All of the especially the Broadway singers.
Apparently,
I'm forgetting. I'm blanking on the one that plays Elphaba. I'll look it up right now, but just across the board, just an awesome movie, and I cannot wait to see part 2, which comes out in November. But yeah, that's basically Bruin with me. I was geeking out on pop music with my daughter. So yeah,
that's awesome.
You know what's crazy too? Before I hand it over to you, in the last game at Poly Pavilion, the round of 32, there was a song playing, and I leaned over to not Bruin Report, Daily Bruin reporter Spencer Brown, who he's an awesome up and coming UCLA beat reporter. I understand. We'll get him on. He's a really funny guy. We're just chatting throughout the whole thing, and I leaned over to him and I was like, the only reason I know that this song playing right now is Sabrina Carpenter because of my daughter. And he just starts laughing at me. He goes, dude, I totally get it. But yeah, great. Jake, what's brewing with you?
I mean, Mike, there's a reason I have like posters of Marina and the Diamonds up in my house. Because I love her to death.
I asked my daughter if she knows Marina or she knows Lana.
Yeah, well, you can't not know Lana. But the reason she doesn't know Marina is because it's a generation, like it's my kids at her age,
and she's more indie. My daughter is into pop,
and she just came out with a new album.
Yeah,
and she's on that. But whatever. Guess who also had conversations about Sabrina Carpenter, and there's another one that was also gosh, I can't think of her name right now.
Yeah, they're all.
Every time my girls are in the house, we're talking about these things, so it's all good. I got it. Nice. And there's one of my favorite songs the last year is Slim Pickens by Sabrina Carpenter. I love that song. Anywho, with that being said, that's not my What's Brewing. My What's Brewing is, Mike, do you remember when we were Utes and the Genesis came out? And there was a commercial for the Genesis where there's like an old like wizardly man. And the one thing I remember is you would just say, Genesis. And I don't remember any other context of the commercial. But video game system, yeah, like 1989. Like I was trying to find the gosh darn commercial for it right now, but that's the only thing that goes through my mind now when I walk out my door and I look at the car I just bought, which is a Genesis, and I'm like, Genesis. But Mike, I got a new car. I love my car. It's by far the fanciest, smanchiest car I've ever owned in my life, and I'm really enjoying the hell of it in the last couple days. It's an electric car. It's really, really fast. And I made all three of my kids sick to their stomach getting onto the freeway when I took them for a little test drive on different occasions. So I'm having a blast with this thing. And it's a lot of fun. So that's what I did over the weekend, as well as bid my daughters adieu back to Santa Barbara and Berkeley. And they're both back home again, but we had a nice week with them both in the house down here. And that's really been the long and the short of it. So I'm enjoying. So I think a couple of weeks ago, I said my favorite purchase of all time was my Rode 3 guitar tuner.
Yeah,
and that's still right there.
That is a really freaking cool.
But having just bought this cool car too, I'm like, that's right there too. Because the main thing that's super cool about this super cool car, that's the nicest car I've ever owned, is that, Mike, in reality, it's pretty much free because it's all because of getting refunded on a lemon law thing for my second or third favorite car of all time, which is the Kia that was out there.
Yeah,
it's finally come to an end, and that allowed me to get this thing. So I'm thrilled about all this stuff. So it's all. That's another reason why I'm real happy about this freaking car.
Vindication.
Yeah, and guess how much money it cost me? Really, net zero.
Is $15.
I mean, just because like it's all a wash, so it's beautiful. So whatever, I'm thrilled about that, and I really like the car.
Year.
And it's cool. It's like silver. When I look at it, anyways, that's all I got, guys. Thank you very much for joining the show, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully, with the women having won the national title.
Fingers crossed.
And if not,
crossed.
Mike will be like, oh.
If not,
but if so, then Mike will be like, yay.
I'm gonna save for next week. Save for next week.
That's right. So, Mike, until next time, thank you for joining the show. And Carrie, please tell us what the Oh My God was about. And Mike, until next time, what do we say?
Go Bruins!
Good evening.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
That was the What's Bruin Show.
Try us tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's gotta be in or out, Mom. In or out. Well, I need the door closed.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Dude, Rob, we play some ball on the West Coast.
The final word is boob.